Automakers like Nissan are on the brink of going under, and they cannot sell any cars. We're going to show you the fastest and, importantly, the slowest selling new cars in the United States right now.
Well, then let's get started.
All right, Dad, here you go. The slowest selling cars in the United States right now, number 10 on the list is the Mini Hardtop 2-door with a 224 days supply of inventory. There are 4,217 of these cars for sale nationwide, yet only 849 have sold in the last 45 days. The way that we look at the slowest selling cars in the United States is by days supply, how long it would take to sell, in this case, the 4,217 that are actively for sale based on how fast they've sold in the past 45 days. Mini coming in at number 10 on our list.
That's bad news for Mini. They're going in the wrong direction.
Then you have, Dad, Audi with the A7. There's a 225 day supply, 571 for sale, 114 have sold in the last 45 days. Then a Land Rover Discovery coming in with a 232 days supply, 1,968 for sale, 381 have sold in the last 45 days. I'm going to run you all the way to number 6, Dad. Nissan Z with a 233 days supply that recently came out. I guess surprisingly, people don't want to spend $70,000 on a Nissan Z. Anyway, nearly 2,000 for sale, yet 386 have sold in the last 45 days. And at number 6, the Jaguar F-Pace, a 241 days supply, 1,884 for sale, 350 have sold in the last 45 days. Noticing any trends thus far with our slowest selling 6 through 10 vehicles?
Yeah, they're all vehicles nobody wants for whatever reason, and for many good reasons. The Z car, sports car, middle of winter, they don't sell. The Land Rover Discovery. Hey, if you said it was a Defender, that's a different story. That would sell. The Jaguar F-Pace and the Jaguar XF. Those are vehicles that, well, they're Jaguar and they're taking the year off. So what do you expect?
Hey, man, number 5, like you just said, the Jaguar XF, 504 for sale, 81 have sold in the last 45 days, leading to a 280 days supply. And then we have our top 4, the Alfa Romeo Giulia, a 285 days supply, 1,243 for sale, yet only 196 have sold in the last 45 days. Shocker, people don't want to buy a $50,000 plus Alfa Romeo. And then we've got the Chrysler Voyager. This is the new kind of like, I don't know, you've got the Pacifica. Pacifica was doing not so great, so why don't we bring out another minivan? So now we got the Voyager, 300 days supply for the Chrysler Voyager, over 1,000 for sale, yet only 158 have sold in the last 45 days. Top 2, the Audi A3, which was our leader last month. Okay, if you were following along last month, the Audi A3 was the slowest selling car in the United States. They've been dethroned, yet they still have a 468 days supply. 3,335 for sale nationwide, 321 have sold. And your winner for the slowest selling car in January of 2025, the Dodge Charger. There's a 1,755 days supply of the Dodge Charger. There are almost 3,000 actively for sale right now, yet 75 have sold in the last 45 days.
Is that like a 5.5 year supply of Chargers? Okay, so you got to think to yourself, Dodge is in a position to go extinct? That's pretty startling. Yeah, the Voyager. Everybody needs another minivan that nobody's looking for right now. And pricing of most of these vehicles, everything is over 40 grand except for the Mini, and well, nobody wants the Mini, so. Not even me.
Dad, what does this say for some of these brands? We led with the fact that like Nissan, for example, is kind of on the verge of going under in the next year or two if Honda doesn't take them over. You've got brands like Mini, Audi, Land Rover, Nissan, like we just said, Jaguar, Alfa, Chrysler, which is part of Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, and Audi represented here. And we know some of these brands, for example, like Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, have had a long-standing presence on this list. We've been making these videos and compiling this data back at CarEdge.com for years now. There was a long period of time where the Jeep Renegade, for example, was the slowest selling car in the United States. It's just a bad omen or a bad look for these brands. It's not good to be on this list.
Yeah, apparently certain brands are always going to find themselves on this list, and other brands will never be on this list. And I guess when you look at it, it is perhaps if you build what customers want, they'll sell quickly. And if you build what nobody asked for, they're going to sit for a long time. The thing I love about the Z, my goodness, the first one I ever bought was for $6,000. It was 10 times less than what the new ones are going for today. I understand things have gone up, that there's been inflation in the 50 years since I bought my Z car, but my goodness gracious, that's some crazy high numbers.
The 10 fastest selling cars in the United States right now. Number 10 is the Lexus ES Hybrid with a 29 days supply. All right, sit down for this. 1,631 for sale, yet 2,554 have sold in the last 45 days. So we are just opposite ends of the spectrum here, right? We just talked about a Dodge Charger, only 75 have sold, and there's nearly in the last 45 days, and there's nearly 2,000 for sale. There are fewer Lexus ES Hybrids for sale than Dodge Chargers, yet they've sold almost, what's the math on that? 50 times as many in the past 45 days?
Yes.
That's bad. That's bad. Toyota, Dad, at number 9 with the Corolla Cross at 28 days supply. There are over 11,000 actively for sale right now, yet more than 17,600 have sold in the last 45 days. You have a very expensive luxury vehicle coming in at number 8, the Mercedes-Benz G-Class with a 27 days supply. 1,000 of these for sale, yet they've sold more than 1,700 in the last 45 days with an average transaction price of nearly $190,000. So there's some like a dichotomy here within the fastest selling cars. A lot of them are going to be more economical Toyotas, and then a G-Wagon.
And, you know, a dear friend of ours, Glenn Bob, he sold 3 G-Wagons during the month of December. Gives you some idea that for those who have money and want, there's no stopping them when it comes to those G-Wagons.
Coming in at number 7 is the Toyota Camry with a 25-day supply. This vehicle's been on the list for a long time. 28,513 for sale nationwide, yet 52,000 of them have sold in the last 45 days. The Toyota Highlander with a 25-day supply as well. Almost 3,000 actively for sale nationwide, yet 5,200 have sold in the last 45 days. And then your top 5 pops, Lexus NX with 24 days supply, 3,600 that are actively for sale, and almost 6,700 have sold in the last 45 days. Then you have the Kia Forte, which has also been on this list for a long time, 23 days supply, 1,100 for sale nationwide, and 2,200 have sold in the last 45 days, and a $22,500 average selling price. That's why it's on this list, right, Dad?
Exactly. And that is the least expensive vehicle on the list. And price points like that are always going to sell quickly.
Then your top 3 are Lexus, Toyota, Lexus. We've got the RX Hybrid at number 3 and the RX at number 1. 23 days supply for the Hybrid. It's got 3,500. There are 3,500 actively for sale, and nearly 7,000 have sold in the last 45 days. The Toyota Sienna with a 22 days supply sandwiched between those 2 RX variants. 7,000 for sale, and 14,000 have sold in the last 45 days at an over $50,000 price point for a Toyota, which is wild. And then the RX, Dad, in 18 days supply. We're in the teens here. In 18 days supply, 4,000 for sale, and over 10,000 have sold in the last 45 days. Those are your fastest selling cars in the United States right now.
And Toyota proves that if you want a van, people will buy a Toyota van. Ain't nobody looking for those Voyager vans.
Yeah, seriously. Hey, I've got a question for our community. If you've made it to this point in the video, we're contemplating, and I need input here, creating pages back on caredge.com that show you in your state or your city that data, the fastest and slowest selling cars, how many have sold in your area, the average transaction price, things like that. Leave a comment down below. I know this is the end of the video, so not a lot of you have made it here, but if you have, and that's interesting to you, please leave a comment down below. That'll serve as like some inspiration for us to actually make that happen. Dad, thanks as always for doing this with me.
Thank you. And what an excellent idea. I love that.